Good morning. Welcome to the Cheryl Morgan 12th Annual Innovation Conference. What a great place, huh? This room. I mean, something else. Ceiling and everything. Been a lot of great places, but this one's really got a unique atmosphere. And I hope you were here last night. If you're here last night, you got your country music fix on. I just slept with my boots on, so it happened this morning for you. Have a great time. We're going to have a great day today. We're going to end it with the baseball game. Hopefully most of you can join us for that. But right now we're going to talk about 12th Annual Healthcare Innovation Conference and why do we use the word innovation and what that means and stuff. So, I got the clicker. That's right. The first thing is to get the moderator to know modern technology. We'll have another technology discussion here in a moment about innovation. But Oxford puts the definition in these terms: a new method, idea, change, product, or solving a problem. And that sounds really cool when you say, let's innovate. Everybody wants to be an innovator. But this definition has one major problem: change. You all have teenagers? I don't want to change anything. It's like, I don't want to eat mashed potatoes tonight, or toddlers even. I don't want to eat green beans. Without eating your green beans and your mashed potatoes, you're not going to be beautiful and as handsome as I am. So kids don't like change. Adults don't like change. And adults don't like change in the healthcare universe because, who wants to leave the security and well-being of how Blue Cross makes you feel? Such a great company. Why leave them? Why change it? It's working just fine, isn't it? So innovation is something that requires that you must change. This is an amazing innovator, and not necessarily for the reasons you might think. But in 1969, this man was having kind of a crisis of life. And he said, my goodness, I have a problem in that I need more income for my family. You see, how does innovation work in a situation? You got a military guy who's just come out, he's newly married, and he just had a second kid, 2 kids. So, he thought he would do the one thing he knew best, and that was work and work hard. And he also loved football. So this guy said, all right, I love football, and I love to work. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to become the Newport High School football coach. So he did. And this is Mr. Cheryl Morgan, by the way. Became the Newport High School football coach. And he did really good at that. He did so well that Newport won 1 game a year. And he was the very first coach to ever lose a game to Covington Catholic, if there's any local Cov Cath fans here. The very first game they ever played. So in football, he was a good coach. But then he had to work. He made so much money coaching that he was also the night desk man at the Lamplighter Inn up in Fort Wright, which is still around. And then he was also the Fuller Brush man. And then he was also the Westmoreland silver salesman. And then he owned a family business. It was called Mark, Go Pick Up That Bottle. And we would collect bottles and go around, so when my grandparents would come to town, they would have money, put stuff on the table. So he thought, I'm working all these jobs, and I'm getting paid for all of them, selling silver, selling Fuller Brush, working the night desk, being a football coach. And being a football coach was kind of a famous thing in Newport. We lived in Newport, walked down the streets of Newport, and here I am, just a young man, 3 and 4 years old, and he's walking me down the street, and we're helping him pick up bottles, and all of a sudden I'd hear a woman go, hey, coach, how you doing? And I'd be like, Daddy, why is that woman calling your name? It was quite a looker. So he decided he had to innovate and do something different. So what he did was innovate one job. He took a risk. Now, why is that innovation? Well, it's innovation because he took a job where on the very first day, what was the pay? 0. He decided to sell life insurance. And for those of you in the business, a very nice man in town by the name of Earls Agency would bring in young men and give them at least an office. So he had an office. And he said, we'll pay you when you sell something. So that innovation turned out to be now the 56th year of business and working in the life insurance industry. So being willing to take a chance on something and willing to put things at risk is the only way you get a great result. So he solved the problem with one job. Now this next slide is probably incorrectly labeled. That's me on the first day at work. Yeah, we started young, yeah. And for those of you that are Gen Zers or younger, that is a telephone. And what I am in is a telephone booth, okay? And if you watch long enough, you'll see this young man turn into Superman. He'll just fly right out and all. But what was my problem? I call it loneliness, but it really wasn't loneliness. My problem was dating. Well, and that's really not true either. My problem was having the second date. So I had lots of dates. I had just been separated from my family. This is, my goodness, over 15 years ago. And when you're a man and you're in your late 40s and you dye your hair this color, the women just come out of the woodwork for you. It's something, yeah. It's great. So I would go to church. I would go to work. I would go to bars. I would go to games, everything to try to meet a girl. And you know what? It just didn't happen. So finally, you see, I had to take care of my boys. I had 3 boys. You know, who wants a dad that's no fun because he's always trying to, he needs somebody in his life to help him out. So I had to innovate. And I thought, this dating game isn't working. I've got to do something differently. What can I do to try to find someone meaningful for the rest of my life? And just to show you that really we're a technology company, I turned to, at that time, the top shelf technology in the world. It worked. It worked. But even here I found out that even when I was using technology, I had to innovate with that technology. I had to do something out of the box. I was scared to death to do this. Because it's like, you get online and all these women are on there and they would send you 10 winks a day. And if you winked at them, they were supposed to wink back. Well, the problem was you'd wink at them and you say, oh, I like those two. And patiently wait and wait. And a week would go by and no one winks. This isn't working. So then I decided, wait a minute, something's fishy because I could have swore I got this girl 3 weeks ago on this here. So then I just started winking at all of them. And I didn't care what they said. So I had to use even technology in an innovative way that they didn't intend. What happened? I ended up getting dates. I'm a businessman. My dad taught me how to work a system. And systems are good because they get you down a pathway, but they don't necessarily innovate a whole lot within a system. But within that system, it was like I had to have 100 phone calls a day. I had to get 4 appointments, and every week I would get at least 1 sale with 4 appointments a day, making 100 phone calls a day. I'd at least get 1 sale a week. Usually you got 3 or 4 sales a week. So I thought, I'm going to treat Match the same way. So I collected all 10 of them, and they sent them to me, and suddenly I started getting a response. That's when I found out something really unique about technology and photographs. I never met the person in the photograph. They were always a few years younger, or boy, that was on a good day. And I was very honest with mine. I was very honest with mine. I put my photograph on there, and it was like, okay, I made a mistake. I went to South Korea, and I stood next to a South Korean Imperial Guard. I didn't know there was a search engine on Match, and all of a sudden, every Korean woman in greater Cincinnati was sending me a wink. And it was like, and so I went on a couple of those, and after we realized that she didn't speak English, and I didn't speak Korean, it was all right. So when I made it a business, I ended up having a total of 7 appointments a weekend. So I took technology and innovated with technology. So innovation is a constant desire to change. Without change, you don't grow. It is painful, but often that painfulness turns into reward. Reward. So what happened when I finally met the woman of my dreams who sitting right over here? She walked in the room. She walked in the room, and I dressed up big time back then. I put on the black suit. I had the lavender shirt on. I'm sitting there at the bar, and I'm thinking, here it comes. You're about to be James Bond with white hair. Here you go. And she walked in that door, and first thing I thought was, that can't be her because she looks better than her picture. And then she walks up to me, and I go to shake her hand, and she goes, oh, I don't shake hands, I'm a hugger. She was quite the innovator because hugging was not my thing. And shaking hands was. She hugged me and the lights went out. I canceled every single date I had for the rest of Match.com, and 3 years later we were married. So that's called innovation. Now, innovation comes with consequences. There's some pretty good consequences, but innovation comes with consequences. This is our blended family, and that's not even all of them, that's just most of them. And between my sons and her daughters and their wives, but between us we have 8 now. And one of my sons is even somewhere over here. He's running this area as the cameraman, Cameron. And the reason I'm mentioning Cameron in this particular situation, the consequences that occur with innovation, is today is September the 14th. No, it's 18th, 18th? That's my dad's birthday. It's Cameron's birthday today. So happy birthday, Cameron. Yeah, we're all September babies. I'm 1, my dad's 14, he's 18. Must see something innovative about 9 months before that, I don't know. So this is the consequences. Now, who would not want to innovate and have these kind of consequences? Well, in healthcare, you want the same thing to occur. You want to innovate and have consequences that are rewarding, that you took the pain. Later on, you're going to hear a presentation from a company named Danzer. They are a veneer company. If you drive a Mercedes or you drive any high-end car that has wood in it and it's curved and arched wood that's beautiful, Danzer made it. They're the only company in the world, it's an international company, that can bend veneer without breaking it. So it's a great company based up outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they had a problem. A European company owning American operations, and the European company knows nothing about healthcare. Nothing about healthcare. And let's say that healthcare had gone so bad for them using the traditional methods that they had in the Pennsylvania marketplace, going through broker after broker after broker, national house, paid out big money, that they were in dire straits. They were in very much dire straits, wondering if they could continue the American operations. You're going to hear the story about Blair Pickerel, one of our representatives, going to meet with Danzer. And now the best thing Danzer has to say is, because we did things outside the box, we gave up Blue Cross and Blue Shield. We gave up United Healthcare and Aetna. Even though those have served us for a time, they have a model that you follow that model, you know the result you're going to get. And they're comfortable with that result. Because if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, what will you get? It's insane, isn't it? Oh, that's insane, isn't it? So that's the same situation here. So unless you step outside of the box, are willing to think differently, and you say, but isn't that dangerous? Danzer never talks about their health care at their international board meetings anymore. And the man that made these decisions is now CEO of the company. That's a pretty good result. They're double-digit healthcare cost increases, and they're stepping outside traditional markets. This is one of the schools in Memphis that we represent, and something happened a few years ago to where Tennessee decided that these schools were going to separate from their county parent because that county parent was hurting too much, going downhill in healthcare. So they separated, and they had to form and get their own health plan. So these schools then had to be created out of nothing. And that thing was what, 8 different districts? 6 different districts. And they had to create a health plan, and they just had a little problem. The problem was they don't exist yet. Their start date was a date in the future. They had no employees, but the state required them to have health care for their people on day one. You ever tried to underwrite a health plan and not have any employees? You ever tried to go to United Healthcare, Aetna, or Cigna and say, hey, I got a deal for you. Tell us how much money you want to insure? Nobody. Until this date, then you'll insure 3,500 employees. How do you think about that? Didn't go over very well. Hard time. My hair used to be a lot darker. So we finally had to innovate. So what do we do? You'll hear their story here as well. What we had to do was create something out of nothing. And the way we did that, and where today, that something out of nothing is the highest, best performing health plan in the state, with over $22 million in cash reserves to support the teachers and the communities in that area around Memphis. So you're going to hear some unique stuff. Thank you. Well, we're going to get on with the rest of the show here and have a good time today. We are an interactive situation. We're innovating with our conference. We have never done a priority, the priority is having 4 or 5 people on the stage at a time, asking questions. Really, we've only ever had one speaker at a time. And there's only 2 other speakers besides myself if you want to hear one at a time. But otherwise, we'll have a panel up here, and this panel discussion is going to take place, and we'll have someone in the audience with a microphone. And if you have a question, we want that person to come to you, ask that question of the panel, and we'll go from there. So, all right, let's get our innovation hats on and have a good time. Thank you.